What's up, y'all? We are back. This is episode 9, maybe 10, of the Washington Nationals Out of the Park Baseball 24 series. We're here at the offseason 2026. And kind of already gotten a little bit into it. I screwed up and didn't re-sign my scout, so we have to re-scout everyone. And I still need to offer some personnel contracts, but we have a lot of money to spend this offseason, so that's good. And for the short term, our pitching staff is really barren at this point. We have Cade Cavalli, who he is what he is at this point. He's a good 4-5 starter. We have Yarlene Susana, who top 30 prospect, but I don't really see a ton of upside with him. I think he could be a good middle of the rotation arm, but probably not much more. And then Paul Skeen's a total wild card at this point in his career. Had a horrible season last year, but I mean, the Sierra looks pretty good. The FIP is much lower than his ERA, so I think there's reasons to think he can bounce back, but also I can't really bank on that at this point. So, I have him down here in our 5 slot. We'll see what happens with him this offseason. He'll probably be on the team, but his clock's kind of ticking here. He's already he's gonna be going into year 4 as a major leaguer, so he's got to show some real improvement here if we're gonna consider him as a long-term piece. And besides that, we really don't have a ton of pieces in the rotation at this point. Andre Lara is a good 6th, 7th starter to have. Quintana's a free agent. He'll be gone, most likely. Gallen wants a lot of money. He was good, but the contract he's asking for is just a little too steep for me at this point for kind of the arm that he is. So we have a good farm system. I mean, we rank 6th in the league, so we have pieces to move. How many of these pieces do I want to move? I'm not sure. Antelik is definitely he's a keeper. I'm not going to trade him. We got a total steal with him in the 28th pick. Made up to AA. Could crack our opening day rotation if everything goes well. I also need to scout him. And then Zach Glickman was a second round pick last year. He's still got a long way to go. Like Cam Johnson, I guess, is approaching the majors, but I think he's probably more of a reliever. He started 3 games at AA. It was horrible. Yeah, as a reliever, he looks kind of usable. As a starter, not quite as good, but yeah, he's a former 4th-round pick in our first draft. Riley Cornelia was interesting, but I don't think he's a starter with the, middling stamina and bad control. Definitely just a reliever. And then that's pretty much it. We have, some, filler guys. Aldo Ramirez is interesting. Jeffrem Leone, another interesting guy, but there's nothing really here on its way. Sergio Valdez is down in the Dominican League, so yeah, that's where we are kind of pitching wise. We got to pick up some big names this offseason to lead this rotation. The lineup looks good, pretty good to go. I haven't gone into a lot of this yet, but CJ Abrams definitely a trade candidate this offseason. I can get a decent return. I'm not sure if I want to move on from him yet. He's still a versatile player in theory. I just don't think he's a starting second baseman anymore. The range really isn't there. So if I do keep him, kind of my plan for him is to use him how we've used Lipscomb the past few years, kind of, splitting time between second, third, first, corner outfield spots. Lipscomb's probably on his way out as well. Although he has some option years, so maybe we keep him. He's still making the minimum. But I don't really see him as part of the team, long-term anymore. So, yeah, I think Abrams will probably move into that role if he stays on the squad. Luis Garcia's in his last year before free agency. Gonna have to make a decision on him. I think we'll probably let him walk. Not an unreasonable price by any means, but... he's a just really solid player. I wouldn't call him any more than that. He's not really an all-star caliber guy, but he bats in the middle of our order, and he's a valuable guy. So we'll keep him around for the last year. Then Cole Henry will come back. Tink Hence is an interesting one. I thought about non-tendering him, but I think I'll probably hold on to him. He's going to be out for probably the full season. Might come back at the end of the year, but he'll probably I don't know. He's got a couple years of control left, I believe. Let me make sure on that. Tink Hens, where are you? Tink Hens. What the heck? Okay, here he is. Yeah, so he has 3 years left, or 2 years after this season, so it's worth keeping him around. We kind of give a good amount for him, and he's not terribly expensive. Cano will obviously be back, and Cavalli will be back. So, Quintana's kind of interesting. You know, this is a new scouting report. The stamina isn't great. Looks like it dropped a little bit from 60 to 45, but a reasonable contract. So maybe we pick him up, bring him back in free agency. He's not fragile yet, although I'm sure like he's dealt with some injuries in the save, I would imagine. Actually, no, only a fractured rib, and his shoulder might be a little bit messed up at this point, but that was his first shoulder injury. His stamina dropped, but could still be useful for an affordable price. Montero will probably be gone. I think we can upgrade from him. And then we're losing Bueller, Gallon, Phillips, and Vasquez, who are all kind of key parts of the squad. Bueller kind of wants a lot of money. I do need to scout him as well. He's coming back from shoulder inflammation. We'll see if his price drops in the offseason. Gallon probably won't be back, as we mentioned. And then Evan Phillips was a total stud for us. He's a little expensive. I don't think we can pay that for a reliever. Then I'll go through these minor league free agents. So let's check out award. Actually, I'll do this arbitration stuff, then we'll do awards. All right, so we're here at Free Agents Violins, and one piece of little update. Brian Wu, out of nowhere, went from like this to this. He added a splitter. His fastball jumped up a mile per hour. Added a bunch of other crap. So, yeah, so he's hanging around. I don't know if he's a starting option. He might be. We'll see. But we're here in free agency, and Aaron Nola, obviously the guy that I'm going to go for. We need a front of the line rotation arm. Sandy Alcantara also here. Throws just a ton of innings. Another guy we may go to look at. Go after. That's what I was trying to say. And we could also bring back Walker Bueller. Who knows? He kind of wants a lot more money now. But yeah, Nola's definitely the guy we're looking at. Has stayed mostly healthy throughout this save, so that's a good thing. Logan Webb's another guy we can throw our hat in the ring at. So a lot of options. So I'm going to go sort through these off camera, come back, and update where we're at with all that. Also, to be fully disclosed, I did. So basically, I waived him. I waived and DFA'd him. And then as I got the scouting report, I waived him, and then I got the scouting report on 11/29. And I saw this. I was like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? So I this is a little cheesy, whatever. You can get mad. But I went and got him back for a nothing prospect. So whatever. I don't really care. I thought it was bullshit that the freaking scouting report came out as like the day after I waived and DFA'd him. Because, you know, the player he was before was like not really a major league player. At least, you know, not worth it when he's out of options. So yeah, I mean, just full disclosure, that happened. Be mad all you want. I don't really, it doesn't really matter. So we have a couple offers out to. Right, so we have a couple offers. Aaron Nola, we offered him, I think it was 5 for $20 per year. Totally worth it. I assume we might get into a bidding war, but that's fine. And then I offered a contract to Logan Webb. He's had mixed results over the past few years. Since the save started, you know, this first year in between Houston and San Fran was okay. You know, he's about a league average arm, and then 2024 in Houston was good. Last year, the 2025 season was meh. And then last year was really good. So it's a little risky. I mean, I can go after Alcantara. He throws a lot more innings. Probably wants about the same contract. But I do want to get 2 of these guys. Like, our books are pretty open long term. Correa's money does go down after a few seasons. But, like, Garcia's a free agent. He's our second highest paid guy. Abrams could be gone at some point. K-Bird makes, like, nothing throughout this contract. Then, like, it's pretty much, you know, pretty much clean books. You know, the pending contracts of a couple different guys, like James Wood, he's due for a big raise in his first year of ARB next season, but I'd like to lock up a contract with him long term. And this kind of does hinder it, so, you know, now I'm kind of talking myself out of it. Maybe go with a 1-year deal of someone a little bit cheaper instead of Webb. I didn't look too much. We also have an offer out for Matt Brash, who, you know, could start, hypothetically, but, you know, he's probably more of a reliever with the bad stamina and the low control. But for starters, I mean, Alcantara would be cool. Webb would be cool. Then there's like some value options. Like Matt Boyd can be a decent arm, I think. Zach Eflin, not really flashy, but could fill the rotation for a season. I talked about Zach Allen. Yeah, he just wants too big of a contract for the pitcher he is. Tony Gonsolin's kind of interesting. Michael Kopech, kind of a garbage personality, but a good arm. Casey Mize is the guy I really like as well. A little bit cheaper. Only 13 per year. Probably get him down to like 11 or 10. You know, he just hasn't really had the results that Webb has or that Alcantara has had. So there's the pause there. We kind of did the Patrick Sandoval thing last season. He finished horribly in Chicago, by the way. Nabil Christman's a free agent. Oh, so they just freaking released him. Wow, yeah, so they signed him to, oh my god, what a poor guy. I mean, he got paid regardless, but they signed him to a 4-year extension, and then he got released before he even played a game in the majors. Holy crap. That sucks. He was so good for us, too. I feel bad. But yeah, I mean, there's some value options. Dean Kramer's actually kind of interesting as well as like a bullpen / sixth starter. But yeah, we'll go through. I think I'm going to rescind the offer on Webb, though. I mean, he has been pretty durable. He can pitch deep into games. Let me wait for the scouting report to come back on him, and then let me also scout Alcantara. We'll do Mize. I like Gonsolin too. Eflin is kind of interesting, and Matt Boyd. So we'll make sure we're up to date on all these guys and see where we are. We'll come back with an update. All right, so I'm going to flip one more trade. We're going to flip Jake Alou, who, if you remember, was kind of like a promising player his first 2 seasons, or season and a half, I guess. He kind of fell off in 2024, but a former, like, really nice player for us, but didn't really get much playing time in AAA this year. Him and Adrian Ogando, who pitched well in high A this season, but he's 23. He only throws 89 to 91, so I'm willing to take the risk. He was an IFA by them in 2021. And we're flipping for Tanner Houck, who's perpetually underrated. And they were pitching him in AAA last year. I'm going to rescue him, as I always do with Tanner. So we're going to pick him up. And he'll compete for a rotation spot for sure. So now we kind of, we have a ton of depth here with our starters. We'll have some combination of these guys competing, and then hopefully pick up Nola. And we still have the offer out for Logan Webb. I'm really stuck here. I don't know. I don't really know what to do. So Webb's a ground baller. It's really how confident do I feel in our infield defense to be able to pick him up. Tucker's a good second baseman. Antuni's going to split time between third and first. We're going to try to get Grant Husty in there against righties. And then we'll start Brady House against lefties. Over at third, we'll move Antunia to first. I think that's kind of how this is going to go. Then Abrams will just be the backup, I think. He really didn't improve much last year. Even the season before, he was a little shaky. And his defense really isn't good enough to play every day. So he'll be our utility guy next season. So yeah, that's kind of the offensive outlook. What was the point of that? Oh yeah, the infield defense, yeah. So I think our infield defense is pretty good. Correa's a stud at short. But do we want to go a cheaper route, a one-year deal? You see our money for extensions a little bit lower. Although, did that change? I feel like that was in the negatives at some point. I also offered Tink Hens. So I gave him a 2.5 for this year. I gave him a $4 million team option. That's mostly cost security. If he does wind up coming back and it's the same pitcher, we can get him for $4 million, which would maybe be lower than his ARB estimate. Who knows? He's looking at 5.6s next year. But if not, we decline it. We can go to ARB with him or, just get rid of him. So that's kind of where I am with that deal. So that's really not $4 million for next year. I mean, long-term money, we're pretty opened up. But do I want to waste it here on Webb? Or we can look in the trade market a little bit and see if we can get a controllable arm for a little bit cheaper. I'll go explore that really quick. This guy's interesting. Yeah, I'll throw him an offer. Fill out our bullpen. All right, 1.1. Sure. Okay, we'll come back with some trades potentially. All right, so I think we have another trade lined up. I'm going to do this instead of the Logan Webb thing, mostly because Castillo's a 2-year thing. It'll be this year and next year. He's a little bit older, so there's obviously risk, but he's about the same pitcher as Webb. Maybe slightly worse, but they're definitely comparable. But yeah, Luis Castillo, one of my favorite pitchers in baseball. Dealt with a small injury, looks like, last season. Shoulder and then forearm inflammation, which you don't really like to see, but they're not like major injuries where like he missed significant time. And he's held in there. Our scouting is accurate as of about a month ago. And the return is kind of guys that were fringe like players for us. So the biggest piece is CJ Abrams, who has been around for this duration of this save and has been a great player at times. He's been a middling player at other times. He had his one really great season in 2024. Do you want a Silver Slugger that year? Yeah, and he was an all-star, but the last 2 seasons kind of been hampered by injuries. Last year he missed a lot of the season. The year before got off to a really good start, kind of faltered off. And he's a really good player, but he has 1 year of control after this. His ARB estimates are like $7.5 million, which is a steep price. And even this year, 5.5 for probably a guy who's not going to start, at least at the beginning of the season, without injuries. Now we're going to have Trey Lipscomb, fan favorite, especially of mine. He had a pretty hot start to his career. 2024, he was really good, came out of nowhere, and then 2025 had a beastly season. Kind of playing around the field, but last year came back down to earth, was much more like replacement level player, which is kind of what his ratings would indicate, but it's tough to give him up to, but they were eating a good amount of the money when I threw these guys in, so it just kind of worked out. Jose Rodriguez was a guy out of options. Last year was his last option year, didn't even play a game in the majors with us. We got him in the Evan Phillips trade and Jason Adam, who I don't even know if I mentioned, but I wound up waiving DFAing him when he came off his rehab assignment because his ratings dropped, and they dropped even more now. But yeah, he wasn't any good when he pitched for us, but we're going to give Rodriguez and then Jack Anderson, who pitched out of our bullpen last year and pitched pretty well, all things considered. But he's a guy with 1 option left. It's 32, a submariner, which is unique, and he has a good amount of stamina, but, I'm not going to let that get in the way of this trade. They're going to eat 20%, so it's about This year we'll be paying Castillo about $18 million. Next year about $20 million. So this isn't as long term of a commitment as would be for like Webb, which would be a 5-year thing. This is only a 2-year thing. And it keeps us open long term for extensions. Just seeing if they wanted to get rid of him for some reason. Another guy who they're looking to trade is Jared Kelenic, who I don't necessarily have interest in. He's on a pretty decent extension for 2 more seasons after this one. They would throw him in for free. I wonder if they would eat some of this money. Yeah. I don't really need Kelenic that much, so yeah, I think this is going to be the trade. Our budget room is slowly dipping, but we still have a good amount of money to spend. So I'm not too concerned. I like Hunter Haas. He was a shortlisted guy from the draft. They want a decent amount for him. Not really worth it. But yeah, we're going to pull this off. Pick up Luis Castillo. CJ Abrams is tough to let go, and our fans don't love it, but they like that we got Castillo. So there we go. We now have like a number 1 starter. Now we wait on Nola, and hopefully we have 2 of those guys. And this rotation's looking much more formidable than it was at the end of last year, where we were having, questionable guys, like a 5 starter starting game 2 of the playoffs, and just didn't really work out. And we also have Brent Antolik on his way. Probably will make an appearance somewhere in the middle of the season, I'd imagine. So yeah, the rotation's looking pretty good heading into the season. So we'll wait on Nola, and we'll come back when we have an update. All right, so it's official. We didn't get in a bidding war, and Aaron Nola is a Washington National for the next 5 seasons. Get him on a really affordable contract. The back end might look rough, but he's been incredibly durable, and he usually is incredibly durable in OOTP. So I'm not too concerned. And check out this pitching staff now, man. Like, pretty scary. Skeen slides down to like maybe not even being in our rotation if he has a bad spring. Brian Wu got some TCR. Tanner Houck's still here, is a guy that I really value. And the bullpen might have some help coming. So we have a couple offers that I've just made. Camilo Duvall, another guy who's always undervalued, coming off a couple great seasons in San Fran, hitting free agency at age 29. Not asking for a lot of money, $1.7 million. Matt Brash, still waiting on him. Then Edwin Uceda on a minor league deal. I think it'd pay him $1.3 million if we got him, or if he got called up to the majors. And then Giovanni Cruz, kind of the same story with him. So yeah, the bullpen should be in good shape. The hitting, hopefully we know what we're getting here. I guess we could use a little bit of depth. But we'll figure that out once preseason hits. But yeah, we're going to keep moving forward. We'll come back if there's any updates. So this is a little depth trade, I guess. TJ Friedl was on the trade block. Not the most impressive player, but can probably play some center field for us, making the minimum this season. And we're giving up a guy, if you squint, it can be a decent arm, but a minor league free agent signing a couple of years back. 28 years old. They kind of just want to get rid of Friedl at this point, so we're going to pull the trigger on that. And there we go. We do have to check out 40-man stuff. So Brenner Cox, he's not really the best hitter. He did have a good year in high A, pitching and hitting. Looks like he was mostly a hitter. I'm not sure why they weren't pitching him, but he is a two-way guy. That's kind of intriguing. 55 potential, so I will add him to the 40-man. Armando Cruz, the prospect luster has kind of fully come off on him, but he was actually a pretty decent hitter between AA and AAA last year. So I think there's still kind of hope for him. He's a good defender. I'm going to add him to the 40. Dalen Lyle is a guy who's really intriguing. Check out his numbers throughout the past couple of years. I guess starting in 2025, he crushed in high A to start the year. Called him up to AA, didn't do much. And then last year, crushed in AA to start the year. Called him up to AAA, and also hit pretty well. He's 24. He has some upside, and he's hit pretty well at every level. So he's a guy I'd consider. Cale Strickland, an 18th round pick back in 2023. Didn't hit much in A-ball. Not much of a defensive catcher, but has some upside with the bat. We'll have to make a decision on him. Probably not any of these other guys, I'd imagine. Everett Cooper was a guy a lot of people wanted in trades. I don't think I'd add him to our 40. But yeah, that's probably it, I think. I don't think we'd add Brandon Collins. He was a guy we actually DFA'd, I think, at the end of last year. So Lyle and Strickland are guys we have to look at. We have 2 spots left on our 40, but we have some pending offers, so we'll probably go right up to the Rule 5 draft and deciding on that. We'll come back when we have an update on the Rule 5, probably. All right, so we're at the Rule 5 draft. I'm going to make this little trade. It's Wilfred Veras, who you may remember we traded for in the first deadline. We also got back Norge Vera, Terrell Tatum, who's no longer with the team, and Yasmani Grandal for Joey Meneses and a bunch of other crap. But we gave him a shot in the majors in 2024. Didn't do anything with it. And then the past few seasons spent the year in the minors and just has not developed at all. He's 24 now, freshly 24, but I've just kind of given up on him, I think. He still has decent ratings, and I think he could still be a good player, but it just hasn't worked out. He's on our 40-man. Got to clear a spot there, so we're going to pick up Anthony Siegler, who's a good defensive catcher. Nothing special, but he was a guy who was Rule 5 eligible, and I was thinking about taking him. Then I said, why not just trade for him? We're also getting Hobie Milner, who has put up a couple really nice seasons in a row for Milwaukee and Minnesota since the save begun. He's just a really reliable arm, and he's a lefty, which we kind of need. Kind of look at where our bullpen is right now. These guys in long relief are guys with options still, so these guys can go back and forth between the minors. So we still have like an open spot or two in this bullpen still. I think some of those spots will be filled by Doval and Uceda and some other guys who just signed. Let me see, where the heck did they go? Anyway, I think some guys signed with us, but those spots will be filled by them. So we still have like another opening in the bullpen as of now. So Hobie Milner, good lefty, side armor. So I guess he's quite similar to Vasquez. I guess not really. They're kind of different lefties. But he's making a bit of money, and they're going to eat 40% of it. We're also giving up C.J. Backer, who's a 25-year-old. He's been fine, but not really anything concerning. Now I'm starting to double. Maybe we want someone with a little bit more upside. But Milner has been a good reliever. He's very reliable and durable, which is good. Yeah, I think this makes sense. We want to deepen our bullpen as much as we can, so let's do it. It's like we're giving up much. So we'll add Milner. Still have one more spot in the 40. We did wind up adding those guys that I was talking about last time. Those being Lyle. We're going to go with Lyle. And the catcher, Cale Strickland. We did wind up adding those guys. So we have one more slot. There's some relievers here that I like, but I don't really want to take a guy and I have to keep him on my roster all year. Carlos Vargas was the guy that I was thinking about, but I don't know. It's a big commitment to keep one reliever on your roster all year, unless they're really good. So maybe we throw one dart. Palencia is interesting, but I don't really like his overall game. I think Vargas is probably the guy I like the most. Also, this guy, Joey Cantillo, I like him as well. Lefty, but he also doesn't throw hard, so. Chris Clark is a guy we went to go look at last year. Carson Coleman's interesting. Wilmer Flores is actually the guy that I was looking at. He throws 94 to 96. Good movement, good control. The stuff is a little questionable, but he's had some decent success in the majors. 2024 was a decent year for him. 2025 was okay. He's been pitching in A and high A because this game is stupid a lot of the time. So, you know what? Let's go with Flores. He has the most upside as maybe a starter long term. Who knows if he'll even crack the opening day roster. Also, the White Sox got a steal getting Lamar King, 23 years old. Yeah, he was a stud in our twin save when we picked him up. But yeah, we're going to keep Simmons ahead. Come back. So, another quick trade to open up a 40-man spot. Jeremy De La Rosa. He was actually up with the majors for 4 days. Never got an at-bat or anything, but he crushed it in AAA in 2025, so I added him. Didn't do as well this year in AAA, so I'm going to flip him for a non-40-man guy, Christian Campbell. Yeah, basically he crushed in AAA, and he doesn't need to be on the 40-man roster yet, so who's this guy? Oof. How the heck did they get this guy? Nice. So we're going to pull off this trade. Perfect. And we can add Doval, who just signed, who will probably slot in as our closer to start the year. And this bullpen's looking pretty freaking good. We also have Hobie Milner here. And then Brian Wu. One of these guys will bump to the bullpen. Then we have a bunch of guys that can go up and down. Wilmer Flores is a Rule 5 guy, so we'll have to wait on him. Jacob Lopez out of options. He has 1 year left. Okay. Cornelio has 2. Okay, yeah, so all of these guys can kind of go between the majors and minors. That's perfect for what we got here. So I think that's probably it. We'll probably go up to around spring training, maybe even opening day, see if there's any big updates. And if there is, we'll jump in. Okay, so we have one trade here lined up. Let me just explain kind of my backstory. So we have $5.23 million to spend, and I don't know. This guy Juan Olivari kind of checks all my boxes. Obviously, crazy upside, high leader, work ethic, and intelligence. Obviously, the outfield defense isn't great, but maybe he could develop. He's only 16. And I really want him, and I got outbid predictably for him. But this trade, it basically comes down to Miguel Gomez for the money. So Gomez is, I really like him as a reliever. I'd love to keep him around. He has a couple option years left. But, you know, he's a control stuff, low movement guy, so he's going to give a couple of home runs. You kind of saw it last year in his limited time in the majors. I guess he got a pretty good sample, though. And he gave him some home runs. You know, the strikeouts were good, the walks were good, obviously, but he's a guy that's kind of expendable with all of our bullpen depth in the upper minors, and I'm not going to let a reliever hold up getting generational talent, potentially. So we pick up $750,000 international bonus pool room. They were the one team that was really willing to do that. So, yeah, that's pretty much the deal. We're going to pull that off, and then we should be able to offer Olivari. Let's see. The national... Okay, yeah, so we have... Let's go 5-7... 5-7-0-0-0-0-1. So we're going to outbid the other team by $1. And I think that, yeah, that was good. So, what the heck? Are you freaking kidding me? So, I offered him the deal, and I don't even know what the heck happened. Wow, so he just went and friggin' signed with Kansas City the same day. That is insane. Is something going on here? Because I did not offer him a deal. Oh my god. I'm an idiot. Alright, well that's actually fine. Luis Montez was another guy I liked. I offered the friggin' wrong guy the contract. Whatever. That makes sense. He's still a really good player, so I'm cool with getting him. But that was so stupid. God. I feel like such an idiot. Anyway, we have 280,000 left. Yeah, we probably won't be able to get any of these dudes. I could throw a dart at this pitcher, I guess. See what happens with him. That was so stupid. I can't even get over that. I'm not even upset that I didn't get him or anything, but... okay, looks like they didn't increase our budget or anything. I mean, Luis Montes is still a heck of a player, so honestly, he could turn out to be a better player. The defense is just a little questionable. The personality is fine, too, so I'm cool getting him. And those international guys are kind of, you know, you can't bank on them. I have a feeling that other dude's going to turn into a total stud, but that's whatever. It's in the past. Okay, keep moving forward. So that's about all for international. I believe that guy wound up signing, right? He must have. Wasn't really paying attention. Yeah, okay. So that was pretty much the rest of our money. We'll save the rest. You know, this isn't actually a bad pitcher either, so. Okay. Keep moving forward in the offseason. We'll come back just a little bit. Okay, so we're here just a few days before the start of the regular season. There was a roster crunch, so Giovanni Cruz is the last guy to get cut or sent down to the minors, but I sent him down and then added him to the 40, so I think... I'm not sure if he needs to be promoted to the active roster or the 40-man, but we'll see. I think he's on the 40-man, but I don't know if technically he can opt out. I don't want him to, but we had a real roster crunch. As you can see, we're going to rock with this. It'll be Nola, Castillo, Susana, and then Skeens kind of gets it based on pedigree alone. I don't really have faith in him, but he'll get a shot to start the year, and then Cade Cavalli rounds it out again, kind of just based on pedigree, not what he did in the spring, but the bullpen goes Duvall, Henry, Cano, and Vasquez, Milner from the left side, Brash and Wu from the right side. Brian Wu, the next guy up for a starter. But I would like to see him out of the bullpen first, see how he does. And then Tanner Houck is kind of a long man, swing man type. I would have put him in the rotation, but we'll give these guys a shot first, see how they go. Houck and Wu are definitely like legit options moving forward. And then lineup-wise, we have pretty much everyone you'd expect. We did have one injury. Luis Garcia went out. He's out for 2 more weeks. So that kind of opened the door for Robert Hassel, who had a really nice spring. So he batted .317. And this is kind of his last shot here. He's got a 2-week audition to see if he can stick as a player. He still has options, so it's not a big deal. Like, he'll be in our system, but yeah, it's kind of his last shot as a starter. We'll see how he does. He's starting against righties, and then Gomez comes in against against lefties. Then it's basically what you'd expect. Brady House is our starting third baseman, even though he had a rough spring. I still have faith. And then I guess the last guy cut offensively was Grant Hussey. I would have liked to keep him on, but we had to cut the roster down. Just one more guy. Ty Goldner. I don't know if his name is familiar, but he was up in 2024 and played some shortstop for me at age 20. And he spent the last couple of years in the minor leagues, but he's out of options, and I don't really want to lose him. And he's a good utility infielder, at least good defensively. And TJ Friedel's our last guy off the bench, mostly because he can play center field. So, and Talik, I'm going to go with for his name, by the way. He lost a little bit of potential. Check out the last scouting report. He lost 10 potential stuff. His current did go up. Lost 5 potential movement, and control stayed the same. But, yeah, I mean, he still looks like a good arm. I'm sure he'll be fine. He had a rough spring, though, so he'll start the year in AAA. And, yeah, we'll jump into opening day here. We had a really rough spring, 7-18, 3 ties as well. But I start all of my, like, guys that are fringe and see how they do, basically, in the spring. Most of the guys in my starting lineup barely got at bats, minus like Brady House and Robert Hassel. Okay, so they want us to play over 500 ball. I think we can do that. Some development updates. Caber Ruiz contact going down. I don't like to see that. I did see James Wiz home run dropped a little bit more. That sucks, man. TCR is a weird thing, man. It sucks. He didn't deserve that. Grisham went down, his contact. We already talked about Antalik. Cam Johnson suffered a little injury. He doesn't really look like a great pitcher, but he has a lot of trade value. And then this is a big one. Namala finally progressing and kind of looks like the guy that we drafted, like almost. He'll start the year in high A. He's 21 years old still young, but he's coming along here and just got a nice little development increase. This guy got a nice boost too. Dang, okay. Rafillo, he's 18. I should probably add him. He might struggle in rookie ball, but he's 18 at this point. We'll give him a shot. Ulteris, this guy looks pretty decent as well. He got a little boost, and then Luis Rizzo. I didn't go through my international guys yet, but okay, let's check out top prospects. Look, we have 16, 20, and 21. Just looking quickly. We're 6th in minor league systems. I'm surprised we're not higher, but Arturo Paredes is our top dude. Wasn't horrible last year in Dominican League as an 18-year-old. We'll have him back there again. Luis Montez slots in at number 20. Brett Antalik, number 21. Luis Valenzuela, number 81. He'll get his first taste of Pro Ball this year. Oh, he's already on my international team. Okay. Grant Halsey, 133rd. Rufillo, who just got the little boost. He's 140. Zach Glickman, our second-round pick from last year, 143. Namala, 177. And Augustus Schwartz, who was a bigger international guy a few years back. Just hasn't hit at all in the minor leagues. But he is rounds out the top 200 at 190. A couple other guys. Cooper Pratt is slowly but surely made his way through the minors. 2023 third-round pick. Definitely not as good as the guy we drafted, but could make an impact as early as this season, potentially. So excited for him. Elijah Green, another guy who had a nice spring. Just not really quite ready yet. He needs to play some time in AAA. But, you know, he could be a potential backup outfielder, platoon guy for us moving forward. So, super exciting, the prospects. And, yeah, let's go opening day here against Oakland. We'll have Aaron Nola making his Nationals debut. And we win 6-3. 2 RBIs from Correa, 2 from Wood, 1 apiece from Tucker and Grisham. No home runs in this one, but Aaron Nola, really quality start. Cano and Duvall close it out. So, big win in the first game of the season. Luis Castillo will be on the mound for Game 2, making his Nationals debut. And we lose 3-1. Pretty quality start from Castillo, though. We'll take that. And Brash was good in relief, but nothing going against David Festa. So Game 3 looking to take the series. Yarlene, who's Susanna on the mound. And we also lose this one 3-1. Susanna, pretty good start. Not too bad. Milner and Cano good out of the bullpen. Let's see how Skeens does here, actually. We'll do one more game. We lose 6-5. Antunia, 3 RBIs. Skeens not good. So Tanner Houck was good in relief, though. So there's a plus. But, yeah, well, you know what? Let's just do Kate Cavalli, too. We'll run through the rotation once. We win 6-4. Antunia, another 3 RBIs in this one. White and Correa and House multi-hit games. Kate Cavalli, a really quality start. Brian Wu gives up a couple unearned runs, and Duvall closes it out. So that'll wrap up this episode. Thank you very much for watching. Like if you made it this far. Subscribe if you haven't. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Peace.